For information's sake, we've got 11 fully fledged games of cricket from the beginning of May until our first World Cup game. That includes 3 games against counties, a game against England in a 2020 form, 5 ODIs against England, and then 2 warm-up games before the World Cup. Gives us 11 games of cricket before the start of the World Cup. So we build this as a tour of opportunity to look at a final few places. Inzi and I had a look at the final places that we were looking to secure. We looked at the areas that we wanted players. We wanted to give our next tier of players an opportunity to play at the highest level, to see what they can do, because you're only as good as your bench strength. So for us, bench strength is incredibly important. We wanted to have a look at those players. 500s across the series was what was the impressive thing, the positive thing. The fact that I think we certainly found a batsman, and we found a young quick bowler that are going to serve Pakistan cricket well for the years to come. And again, probably sorted our fast bowling conundrums out leading into the World Cup. From that point of view, we saw a lot of things, a lot of positives, quite a few negatives as well that need to get sorted out, and sorted out quickly. But obviously, losing 5-0 to Australia is something that hurts us incredibly. As a Pakistan cricket team, whether it's your first team, whether it's your second team, they're out there representing the nation, representing 210 people. So to lose 5-0 was the disappointing part of it.
You have been emphasizing on fitness of the players.
Yeah.
It has been felt that you some sort of sweet and compromised on the fitness during the series against Australia. How much it will be important before the World Cup squad, the fitness test of the players, and if some senior players like Shadab, Shoaib, and Imad Wasim fail in the fitness test, you will compromise on the selection of the players or go on the result of the fitness test?
Absolutely not do we ever compromise on fitness standards. And I think on this tour, our fitness standards and fielding were not where they needed to be. That's acceptable when you see the likes of the young Abid Ali, Hasan, guys like that hadn't been in our setup before, guys like that didn't know the standards expected. We work with those guys. Guys that have been in our setup for a long period of time, who know what the standards are, we will never ever compromise on that fitness. So all of our key players, I have no doubt, are fit enough and ready to go to the World Cup. It's our bench strength players. It's our players that sit just under our setup that are a worry, and how we pull those guys to the level is going to rest on themselves, and is going to rest on the structure to give them that education, to make sure when they step up into our side, they're ready to go and they're at the level required that we expect of them.
Amar is not playing well. Is it your first choice for World Cup? Can you pick for World Cup? And secondly, where you can rate Amir?
Sorry, the first one was that Mohammad Rizwan. Mohammad Amir. Mohammad, look, I rate Mohammad Amir highly, and everybody knows that. I think he's a wonderfully skilled bowler. I think he's got big match temperament. Mohammad Amir rises to the occasions when we need him to rise to the occasions. He would be the first to admit, though, that his form hasn't been good. It's not necessarily his form. It's the fact that he hasn't struck. He hasn't taken wickets. Inzi and I will sit down. We'll make that decision in the next couple of days, along with the selection panel. Abid Ali was very impressive this tour. Very impressive. Abid Ali came into the setup. His attitude, his work ethic, the extra little bit of work he did through the tour was incredible. He's a hungry man who wants to play cricket for Pakistan. So I'm incredibly impressed with Abid Ali, incredibly impressed with everything he brought to the side, and I thought the 100 he got on debut was a very, very good innings. Hi.
Before the series, you mentioned that there are at least 4 places that that are to be finalized from this tour. But over the course of the tour, we have seen some youngsters grabbing the opportunity in terms of Abid Ali, Mohammad Rizwan, Mohammad Hasan. But more importantly, we have seen some of the mainstays failing. And I'm talking about in terms of Mohammad Amir, Shoaib, Malik, Imad. So do you think, so is there any doubt up in your mind and in the selection committees about, more places than the 4 that you have talked about earlier?
Look, I think myself and Inzi was over there. Inzi and I spoke a lot. We spoke after every game. We're very clear in the direction we want. We're very clear in the team that is going to represent Pakistan at the World Cup. As I say, we'll meet I'm meeting our coaches this afternoon. We've got individual player plans for every one of our players that have come back. Those individual player plans will be a build up to the England tour for the guys that we're wanting to take. Inzi, myself, and the selectors will sit down, I guess, in the next couple of days and start our final work towards that World Cup squad. We'll have fitness testing around April 14, April 15. We've just got to, again, we'll work that back in terms of our individual planning today. And then pretty much soon after that, once I've met with Inzi today, we'll have a date on when the World Cup squad will be announced.
Coach, do you think Mohammad selection was a mistake? Is still not serious with his discipline, batting and fitness?
All I can say, Umar Akmal's attitude through the tour was very good. All I can say is that Umar Akmal arrived there, he worked exceptionally hard, he trained hard, he tried very hard to impress in all areas, and he'll be disappointed he didn't get a big innings.
Vicky, you are satisfied with results against Australia, and what's your plans and futures regarding 11 matches before the World Cup?
I'm never satisfied in terms of losing. I hate losing. We hate losing as a team. Losing is not part of our vocabulary. We certainly don't prepare teams to lose. So losing 5-0 hurts incredibly hard, incredibly hard. In terms of the individual player plans, every one of our players that are going to go to the World Cup and are going to tour England, and that includes some reserve players, because I think during a World Cup you have injuries, you need players to come in at different times. We need those players fit and firing. So it'll probably, we're talking about 18 players here. We'll have individual player plans from today. Those players, I've already asked our skills coaches to give me what they think is necessary for every one of our players, and that might be death bowling, it might be variations, it might be bowling slow balls. Power hitting is an area we need to considerably work on. So I've asked our skilled coaches to give me those plans, and those plans we will start implementing in the next couple of days with each and every one of those players, plus the fact that we need our players at optimum fitness level. We saw the difference in the field in terms of our normal players, our guys that we've worked with for 2 years, and players that have just come into our system. The gap is massive. The gap is massive. We can't have that ever happen again.
We have been trying for 3 years to make competitive squad for the World Cup, but still, I guess you're going to have some other experience in experiments in England just before the World Cup. Is it fair a national team, because people have been criticizing that you have been failed to form a winning squad for the World Cup?
I can tell you what the World Cup squad is now, but it's not at my place, and that's going to be Inzi's job to do to you guys down the line. we've planned for 2 years. We started with a squad in Champions Trophy. We've worked the squad in all conditions, through all formats for the last 2 years, to have a squad and team ready for this World Cup. That's been one of our primary goals. So in terms of experimentation, we're pretty clear on where we're going with it. So, but I'm not at liberty to tell you.
Like last we were having Hafeez and they can tell the game in moments. So what are your concerns about not having some big hitters in the team that can hit some 6s and 4s in the 40 50 overs? Because we are not having some big hitters who can go with an average of 10 or 12 in the last overs.
Yeah, that's a very good question. That's a very good question, and that's one of our areas of concern. It is to make sure we try and make our guys that are going to bat in those positions as best they can. That was the reason we used Faheem Ashraf. That's the reason we used Faheem Ashraf in 2 games. Faheem Ashraf had done a hell of a lot of work. Reason we took Faheem there was to give him a little bit more batting experience. We've worked really hard with Imad Wasim in that role. Hasan can hit the ball long distances. Shadab's worked incredibly hard on that aspect of his game. Shoaib, Malik, Mohammad, Hafeez, if they're in, we work consistently on their power hitting. But it is an area that is a worry, and I have to work incredibly hard with it. I'm very comfortable with our young players. I'm very comfortable with our young players. We tried them. We've built a side for a period of time now. We obviously won the Champions Trophy. We've played some very good 2020 cricket through that period. New Zealand was poor. We were caught out in conditions that we weren't that were very foreign to us. We had a tour of Zimbabwe, won 5-0. No disrespect to Zimbabwe, but we don't. We expect to win 5-0 there. South Africa was a hell of a tight series. A very tight series. I thought we competed exceptionally well in South Africa in conditions, again, foreign to us. And take nothing away from the Australian series, this wasn't our best side by 8 players. So again, and we can go into the merits and demerits of resting our players. As I've said, there's still 11 games from the start of May till May 31 when we play our first game against the West Indies. It's a hell of a lot of cricket. The players that have been rested will be busy with us through the next couple of weeks leading up to the Tour of England. We'll go into camp from the 16th or 17th of April. We'll decide that again today with the coaches, and we'll be the best prepared cricket team that gets to England. I can promise you that. I can sit here and because we pride ourselves on preparation. Our side will be the best prepared team that gets to England. Preparation doesn't always account for results, but it gives us a better chance of getting those results. And we won't leave any stone unturned in our quest to win the World Cup. That's a good question. A very leading question. We're pretty sure of our best 6 bowlers. We'll take 5 of them. To be fair, at times they all impressed, and what you guys don't see is the amount of work that gets done. So we talk about resting players. Resting players, you only see the games. You don't see the work that they do on the days off. You don't see the work that they do in the training sessions. And we are unrelenting in how we push our players and how hard we push them. At times, our bowlers bowled well. There is certain areas that we need to work on, particularly in the UAE. I think death bowling is something we need to nail, and we need to nail properly. I thought Hasan came through this tour exceptionally well. He showed us a little bit of what he's got to offer, And what he's got to offer is very, very exciting going forward.
Vicky, everybody talk about the power hitter missing at number 6 in Pakistan squad. Are you satisfied with the Asif Ali's development so far? And do you think you have not enough chances in terms of overs in the matches?
This is a very interesting question. I love Asif Ali. I think Asif Ali is a phenomenal cricketer. He's a very, very good cricketer. We took him to Zimbabwe. We batted him in that position, and he played really well. He showed us what he could do. By Asif Ali's own admission, though, he had a very poor Asia Cup, and the self-same journalists that are talking about Asif Ali at 6 crucified him around batting 6th in the World Cup. I mean, in the Asia Cup. Asif Ali has a way to go in terms of building an innings. He's got a way to go in terms of if he has to walk in overs 20 to 28, how he goes about his innings there. We know Asif Ali at the back end is unbelievably dangerous. 2020 cricket, the scoreboard tells you exactly how to play in those situations coming at the back end. In one-day cricket, you have to build an innings for a little bit longer. So those are the things that Asif Ali will learn. I love Asif. I think he's a really, really good cricketer. We will keep developing Asif because he is and has the potential to be that finisher for us at number 6.
Okay, Vicky, we have 5 centuries in the series, but unable to win a single match in the whole series. Mohammad got fined due to his night out, and Yasir Shah was busy making funny videos with the girl. And yeah, one more thing, Imad Wasim as a skipper was bashing Mohammad and the youngster. I just want to know that what was the atmosphere in the dressing room in the whole series?
The atmosphere in the dressing room in the whole series, and again, I can sit here and honestly say to you that these guys that came into the squad worked incredibly hard. Yes, standards weren't at the level that our young players' standards are. The guys that have been in our setup for a long while, I've just seen Baba Azam running a 2K time trial around the ground. Those are the standards we expect of our players. These guys need to be educated in terms of that because they haven't been exposed to our standards before. So that for me was an irritation at times. In terms of Umar Akmal's shenanigans, I found that out from Raza after the last ODI, and Yasir Shah, evidently that happened yesterday. Yasir Shah is very embarrassed about that video. I had about 5 or 10 minutes with him at the airport last night, and he was incredibly embarrassed. I think it was all very innocent, though.
It's good to see your confidence in the team requires about preparation and having in mind our victory in the Champions Trophy. How would you rate? How are you confident about the coming World Cup?
Look, the Cricket World Cup is I mean, it's an incredible showpiece. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be a wonderful opportunity for these guys that we've worked with so hard for the last couple of years to be on the world stage and showcase their talents, because we sit with some incredibly talented players.